Hello, my name is Greg Clark. I'm the Senior Fellow for the Urban Land Institute in Europe, and I've recently authored a report called Business Friendly and Investment Ready Cities. Now, the idea of this report really dates back to 2008. The financial crisis and the depression that followed really were catalytic in changing important parts of the framework conditions and the market conditions in which cities in Europe operate. On the one hand, geographical change in the global economy means that all of Europe's cities in the future have to compete on a much broader canvas with a very wide range of first, second and third tier cities that are emerging in Asia, in Latin America and elsewhere. At the same time, they have to compete with North American cities that have found a new ambition and a new appetite to engage globally. And so therefore, there's a primary requirement for Europe's cities to understand what their advantages are, which I take to be knowledge creation and commercialization, sustainability, culture, livability, innovation and design, the places where Europe is really able to lead. So competition is critical. And on the other hand, sources of capital have changed. Since the financial crisis, there's no more easy debt financing. There's much less transfer payments from national governments. It's harder for these cities to receive grants from elsewhere. So a new suite of financial instruments is now available to these cities, and these are often financial instruments that require them to interact with investors in different ways and also to engage with a different group of investors from the past. There's a shift from debt financing, of course, to equity. Within equity, there's a shift towards mixed portfolios of fixed assets. And at the same time, we're dealing with equity on a much larger scale than ever before, where the requirements to have large-scale, continuous pipelines of investment opportunities is much more critical. So the competitive challenge has changed for European cities, and the capital challenge has changed for European cities. And in relation to this, a lot of people are talking about European cities needing to be more business friendly and more investment ready. So in the report that we've recently launched, we try to identify what these terms really mean. These terms are used a lot, but nobody has previously sought to define them. In order to define business friendliness, we looked, of course, at all of the global studies about what makes a national economy friendly to business, and we looked into, of course, the observations about business climate, investment climate, business rules and regulations, taxation, and everything else. And we can deduce from that a certain set of observations about business friendliness or business climate at a national level. But it's very clear to us that cities within a national economy can be differently friendly to business. So we define business friendliness as the ability of city leaders to build upon national framework conditions, to improve upon them by offering a differentiated set of services and practices and support to particular companies in particular sectors at different stages of their life cycle and of different sizes. In other words, a highly customized approach to building upon framework conditions to make it easier to do business. When we look at investment readiness, we find, again, a huge literature that describes what makes a country or a project ready for investment. But when we look at an individual city, we find that what's required is the ability of a city to prime itself towards the particular needs of different kinds of investors and to bring forward a long-term approach in terms of a portfolio of investment opportunities that are risk managed and controlled, that have certainty and confidence about them, and will together form a scale of opportunity and a continuity of opportunity that an investor requires. The report goes into some depth about these definitions and what they mean and how they can be observed and measured. In our study, we also look at the question whether a city can do better than its national government can do. And we offer some case studies here of Stockholm and Paris, Vienna and Barcelona. What's very clear is that in the case of Barcelona, it decisively improves upon the framework conditions that are in Spain. In other words, Barcelona is more business friendly and investment ready than Spain is. And we find the same thing when we look at Paris. France, of course, is perceived in the investment community to be a wonderful place to invest, but with difficult regulations. Paris improves upon that. Now, overall, our report identifies some of the good practices that are happening in the 4 cities that we've produced case studies about. It compares the observations of some senior opinion formers about business friendliness and investment readiness, and it leads us to observe that as the world continues to urbanize and as cities therefore become the key emerging markets for business worldwide, business friendliness and investment readiness are critical tools that cities now need to use in order to inform long-term successful development strategies. I hope you'll take an opportunity to read the report, and of course we look forward to your comments about it.